Have you ever wished to be treated like a princess at a royal wedding? We're going to inform you about the royal wedding today. You're a real-life princess if your wedding ceremony happens to be like this one. Yes, we are referring to the 1981 wedding of Princess Diana and Prince Charles. More than 3,000 attendees attended the ceremony, and a record-breaking 750 million people watched it on television. Isn't this royal wedding very wonderful? On July 29, 1981, Prince Charles and Prince Diana were married, and it was widely acclaimed as the wedding of the century. The opulent event, held at St. Paul's Cathedral in London, cost around $48 million. A record-breaking 750 million people in 74 different countries watched the wedding. Additionally, it was the first occasion in 300 years that a British citizen wed an heir to the throne. Only 5 months had passed since Prince Charles had revealed his relationship to Diana before their February 24, 1981 wedding. Charles shocked Diana when the reporter questioned him if they were in love, even though he had earlier told the BBC that he was overjoyed and honestly surprised that Diana was willing to take him on. Charles said, "Just about anything in love means," to which Diana responded, "Of course," which she found traumatizing. Even so, the bride's lavish wedding appeared to fulfill her dream. In a later interview with Andrew Morton for his 1992 book, Diana, Her True Story, in her own words, she recalled being so in awe with my spouse that I really can't take my eyes off him. He was going to take care of me, and I felt I was the happiest girl in the world. It was beautiful, wonderful, and magnificent. Yet, she later recalled in an extract from Lady Colin Campbell's The True Diana that she swore my knees would knock and make a noise as she walked up the aisle. In a letter written to a friend, the groom is said to have expressed his enthusiasm, saying, "There were multiple instances when I was frighteningly close to sobbing from the pure joy of it all." Based on a series of personal records made in 1992 with her voice coach, Peter Setlin, Diana, who had only seen Charles 13 times before wedding him, would eventually reflect on her big day otherwise, apparently dubbing it the worst day of her life. According to the recordings featured in the 2017 film, Diana, in her own words, she reportedly added, "If I could write my script, I would have my husband go away with Camilla Parker Bowles, but never return." Although Diana's unexpected death in a vehicle accident occurred just 1 year before the couple's divorce in 1996, their marriage day will always be remembered as a tragic event. The jaw-dropping event is chronicled further from the extraordinary lengths Diana's bridal gown designers took to keep her garment a secret to the mistakes she and Charles committed at the altar. The wedding registry for Princess Diana and Prince Charles. Although the New York Times claimed that the couple received almost 3,000 gifts between their proposal and their wedding date, Vanity Fair claims they also had a hidden register. The list at Universal Trading Company comprised everything from bottles of wine to bed trays to gardening furniture, and access to it required permission from Buckingham Palace. Along with their chosen pieces, they also received a variety of elevated gifts from notable guests, such as the Regent's inscribed Steuben glass bowl, Cartier's Art Deco clock, and Diana's gemstone parure, which included a wristwatch, chain, necklace, ring, and earrings. The wedding rehearsal. The pair started dancing at a gala ball sponsored by Queen Elizabeth II at the palace, nights before actually their wedding, with 1,400 family guests and relatives participating, such as Nancy Reagan, following an hour-long practice session of the wedding ceremony at the wedding reception of St. Paul's Cathedral in London. The group dispersed after a 90-person supper that was scaled back. On the wedding evening, the nation hosted its biggest fireworks show in over 2 centuries, gathering hundreds of thousands of spectators to Hyde Park. Notably, Prince Charles, who was present to start the first bonfire. 250 musicians performed George Handel's The Royal Fireworks music as the show's musical accompaniment. According to the New York Times, the performance was based on one that celebrated the end of the War of the Austrian Partition in 1749. However, according to a prediction made by astrologer Penny Thornton in an ITV program, the monarch reportedly had a regrettable confession for his future wife. One of Diana's most stunning revelations to me was that Charles had informed her he didn't love her the day before the wedding, according to Thornton. Charles, in my opinion, didn't want to enter the marriage with a shaky foundation. It was upsetting for Diana that he wished to make amends with her. The wedding venue. The couple chose St. Paul's Cathedral as the location, making it the first royal event to take place there since 1501. Prince Charles gave some details about the event management while talking to British news networks. In contrast to its large capacity, the cathedral's amazing dynamics, which the king thought would give visitors a passionate, spectacular, and boisterous sound, were reportedly a factor in its selection. He allegedly said, "If you have anything relatively quiet, you start to hear ankles crick. You understand what I mean?" In addition, he alleged to have concluded that it was more magnificent than Westminster Abbey and had space for an orchestra and a renowned choir, based on the 1998 book The Real Diana by Lady Colin Campbell. The Royal Wedding Guest List. The marriage of Prince Charles and Princess Diana wedding was the first royal ceremony to take place at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Their 3,500 guests would have been better accommodated in St. Paul's enormous interior than at Westminster Abbey, the usual location of royal nuptials, like Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip's 1947 union. The wedding dress of Princess Diana. The dress worn by Princess Diana took 3 months to make. David and Elizabeth Emanuel were the designers of Princess Diana's wedding gown. It was made of silky organza, featured a 25-foot-long train that was the largest in royal history and was embellished with 10,000 pearls. Princess Diana wore it with a 153-yard veil and the Spencer tiara that had been in her household for more than a century. Princess Diana's wedding tiara. Like the designer of her gowns, Princess Diana's florist made not one but 2 bouquets, including gardenias, stephanotis, odontoglossum orchids, lilies of the valley, Earl Mountbatten rose, freesia, veronica, ivy, myrtle, and tradescantia in case of a calamity. According to Express's David Longman, Queen Elizabeth instituted the custom of getting 2 similar bouquets prepared after she misplaced the roses before her wedding and wanted to avoid a repeat of the incident. The Royal Wedding Ceremony. Princess Diana is renowned for becoming the first princess to purposefully omit the word obey from her customary marriage ceremony, which aroused debate. The ceremony had several unforeseen incidents that confused me. By mistake, Diana addressed her husband as Philip Charles Arthur George rather than Charles Philip Arthur George. After their pledges were substituted, Prince Charles failed to kiss his wife at the altar. To make up for this oversight, he kissed Diana in front of cheering crowds on the balcony. A tradition their eldest son, Prince William, continued at his 2011 marriage ceremony to Kate Middleton. Reception Ceremony. Just 120 of the cathedral's 3,500 attendees were invited to the reception at Buckingham Palace, where the newlyweds honored their historical moment before departing for their vacation. They were served an elaborate meal there, which included wealthy delicacies like absolutely fabulous lobster sauces and supreme de volée princesse de Galles, a variation on a chicken breast packed with sheep pate, covered in brioche, and finished with Madeira wine and bamboo tips. Diana personally, who adored chicken, inspired the name. At their light breakfast celebration, the newlyweds served their visitors a staggering 27 custom cakes, the largest of which was a majestic 5 feet high and included the women's coats of arms, names, and a scattering of lilies of the valleys and flowers. The Royal Naval Cookery School's chief baker, David Avery, designed it. It has 5 pentagon-shaped stages with Roman columns dividing each one. According to Eater, it weighed 200 pounds in total, but if attendees weren't satisfied, there were 26 other desserts from royal wedding observers. The Royal Wedding Legacy. Prince Charles and Princess Diana's ceremony would influence future wedding traditions and set a new record for the highest TV audience for a wedding. It gave girls all across the world the idea to live out their very own fantasy. Punch bowl parties soon fell out of favor, in favor of expensive weddings, extravagant gowns, and even tiaras. Layla Lewis, a wedding designer, stated Hello Magazine in 2019. Cornelia Powell, a wedding industry specialist continued, it launched a new period of lavish wedding hoopla, bringing back the status wedding celebration, stage extravagant performances, and star marriages as media attractions. Thank you for watching. In the comments section, let us know your thoughts about such luxury weddings. See you in the next video.